Hello again and welcome back to the Gadget Lab Show. I am Michael Calori.
I'm Christina Bonington.
In a minute we're going to talk about Vine, the new video sharing app, but first we're going to talk about Apple earnings.
Yes.
Now Apple released earnings, what, Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Were you on the conference call?
I was, so I got to listen to Tim Cook and Peter Oppenheimer talk about Apple earnings.
All the superstars. Did you get the opportunity to ask a question?
No, only analysts get to ask questions. It's kind of lame. Reporters just get to listen in on the call.
That's probably a good thing.
It probably is a good
Although
thing.
the analysts tend to come off as sort of buffoonish, don't they?
Sometimes, Gene Munster, he's a big proponent of Apple TV. Apple's working on a television. Basically asked Tim Cook if they were working on a television, and Tim Cook totally sidestepped and ignored the question, basically. It's pretty funny.
I can't answer that. You keep asking me questions I can't answer, I think that's what he said, right?
Yeah.
So what's the big news to come out of it? The big talking points.
I mean, of course, Apple made an ungodly amount of money, profits of $13.1 billion. But the thing was, this is the first quarter in the past decade that Apple's revenue, $55 billion, was lower than previous quarters. Apple's just been growing for the past 10 years, and this is kind of the first, halt to that growth.
And then the stock tanked.
Yeah, and so analysts
Strangely.
and stock type people are all freaking out a little bit, but it doesn't, as far as Apple, the consumer brand, the product company, doesn't really change much. I mean, they sold something like 23 million iPads and 48 million iPhones, and this is the quarter spanning from October to December, so included the holidays and just after the iPhone 5's launch.
Which is something like 7 days shorter than previous quarters as well, right?
Mm-hmm. This one had 13 weeks, and last year this quarter had 14 weeks.
Okay.
So that makes a difference in the numbers a little bit.
Now, I have an irrational fear of financial news.
Uh-huh.
You put a dollar sign in a headline and I won't read it.
Yeah.
But this has been fascinating me, just because, here's this company that they're the largest technology company in the world, the largest corporation in the world, making, hand over fist more money than anybody else, exceeding most expectations, except for there's this weird structure in Wall Street that sets people up with expectations that are, different than somebody who doesn't study finance would expect a company to say this is good or this is bad performance.
Yeah, so basically all these analysts have these models, and when Apple doesn't meet their models, it's oh, sell and stuff. Yeah, it's a little, I wouldn't call myself an expert on that sort of stuff, but it's definitely been interesting to follow, especially this quarter.
So if you're not a shareholder and you're just a consumer, or in our case, if we're talking about the news, I think for me the important things were that Tim Cook did address some of the news stuff.
Yes.
He addressed some rumors. He talked a little bit about the rumors about supply chain and Apple iPhone 5 component orders being cut.
Yeah, basically said that the supply chain is so complicated. Even if you got one correct data point, there's no way you could extrapolate. This means that iPhone 5 demand is waning or something. There's just they use so many different suppliers, so many different parts. There's so many moving components in the supply chain that it's kind of bogus.
Yeah. And there were no product announcements.
No product announcements.
As there never are during calls, although everybody was asking for them. I don't know why.
Yeah, people ask questions about, they'll ask forward-looking questions, and Apple doesn't really address those. They'll sidestep them.
Okay, so let me ask you, when's the iPhone 6 coming out?
So, iPhone 6. I don't know. I think the word on the street is we're going to have an iPhone 5S first. Same form factor as the iPhone 5, but with, improved parts and stuff, kind of like we saw with the 4S last year. And some people are thinking this summer.
Oh, that's dreadfully boring.
Yeah, this summer or the fall.
Okay, well, thank you for your update on Apple earnings. I know we usually don't talk about finance on the show, but it was such a big story and actually really important to the way that Apple does business and how different Apple is from the other consumer technology companies that we cover. So it's important that we talk about it. And now we're going to talk about something you can download onto your iPhone, which is Vine. And we're going to bring out Alexander to talk about that. All right, Alexander joins us to tell us all about Vine.
Right. It's a video sharing app that is owned by Twitter, and it just launched. Basically, it's very similar to other video sharing apps, except for a few unique little twists.
Such as?
Such as, it's limited, every clip is limited to 6 seconds, and also when you're recording, you can like make it really easy to stop and go while you're tapping the screen. Basically, you tap it to start, tap it to stop. So a lot of what we're seeing ends up looking like GIFs or stop motion animation.
Yeah, people are actually creating stop motion animation.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
It looks really cool.
So to shoot a frame, you just tap like that, but to shoot like a succession of frames, you hold your finger down for a couple of seconds.
And you only get 6 seconds, and then there's also a minimum of like 2.5 seconds. So you can't just do a little photo video thing.
Yeah, they're sort of like moving images. They're very, very, very much like animated GIFs, which I think is really smart.
I think so too, because when you get into the app, you don't have to press play or anything like that. You just scroll through a list of these looping videos, and it just automatically starts playing for you. So it's really easy to use. It's easy to shoot, and I think it, sort of solves this whole thing with video sharing apps not really keeping their user base for very long because it takes so much effort.
Yeah, and there's a bandwidth issue.
Right.
With mobiles, like shooting video and uploading video, and video is so heavy.
Right.
This makes it super lightweight, super easy, and it's a lot. I think the interface is totally brilliant, by the way.
It's pretty. It's definitely pretty.
And also just the idea that you hold your thumb down to shoot, and then you lift your thumb up, and then you can rearrange a scene, or you can wait for something else interesting to happen. It opens up all kinds of really cool sort of creative options.
So it's not just like everybody's posting videos of their cat sitting there. They could do their cat sitting, and then their cat somewhere else.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, it's more creative, And even though it's owned by Twitter, it's not a Twitter exclusive app. You can still post to Facebook. You can connect with friends on Facebook. You can totally have no other social networks connected to it. So they're just trying to make it easier to sign in with Twitter, even though I couldn't sign in with Twitter.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a bugginess.
Right, it's still new, so there's still a couple of bugs to figure out. But other than that, it's really light, easy, quick to use, and it's fun.
And it's iOS only.
Right, but they're saying that it's going to come to other platforms soon,
of course.
as always.
We would expect Android, hopefully very, very soon.
Probably not Windows Phone.
Probably not Windows Phone. Although it's pretty perfect for the demographic that Windows Phone is going after, I think.
Yeah, young people.
Yeah, because people I think who are a little bit older, people who have been, shooting video on their phones for a long time are still a little weirded out by Vine because, well, you can't really edit and it's not very powerful. Well, it's not the point.
Right.
The point is it's like Snapchat. It's like an animated GIF builder. It has very little relation to video other than the images move. That's about it, I think.
Kind of like Instagram.
Kind of like Instagram. It looks a lot like Instagram.
Yeah.
And I think what do you think? Is it going to be as big as Instagram? Is it going to be as
It has
catchy?
the potential. I think it definitely has the potential to be.
Cool. Can I make my videos look like 1982?
No.
Okay. Well then, we'll see about the updates. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
And we got to have you on the show more. You're always a delight.
Yeah. Thanks.
All right. We'll see you next time on Gadget Lab.